Welcome to Dynamo's Dozen, the podcast that we bring you each and every single week, where we talk about whatever may be on our minds, from pro wrestling, sports, entertainment, music, movies, muesli, fresh socks and jocks, and everything in between. Never forgetting that sweet smelling white powder, which you should never put up your nose because talc is definitely not designed to go up there. Welcome to 2023 and another year of Dynamo's Dozen with me, your host, Ian the Dynamo Kelly, and of course, my trusted co-host, my favorite co-host, and yours, Mr. Niall, the shopkeeper Hogan. Happy New Year, my brother.
And you, my friend, and to all our subscribers and followers and
Absolutely.
viewers and anyone who's contributed to the show. Yeah, 2023. Many years is that now you're in total from when your own inception, when it all kicked off on those days of audio?
My God. Must be 4, is it?
Probably more, I'd say.
4 or 5?
Probably more. Yeah, it could be
Could be
5
4
even,
or
couldn't
5.
it? Yeah.
Could actually be
Can
5,
have a
yeah,
look,
when
yeah.
we think about it. Wow.
5 years in.
Crazy to think, isn't it?
Mad.
Yeah.
Crazy. But
Well, I
anyway,
raise a seltzer to everybody that has. Unfortunately, I'm a bit boring tonight because it is midweek as we record, so it is just unfortunately not a hard seltzer, just one of those
it's
nice little.
known as recovery week. It's been a hard
Yes,
2 weeks, so it's
being an
recovery.
Irishman.
Yeah. Well, we do have a great show tonight. We're going to take a look back at 2022.
Yep.
And we'll obviously bring you the week in wrestling history and some notable birthdays, and we'll chat about some famous people connected with wrestling that we lost in 2022 as well, to mention.
Always the
Yeah,
sad part, but always nice to reminisce.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and some big ones in there, so we couldn't let it slide. But 2022, what a year for pro wrestling. I mean, the amount of people that have even been coming into me in the shop and saying they had given it up, they'd walked away, they had enough of Vince McMahon and WWE and all that kind of thing, have suddenly crept back in again and said, I'm looking at the bloodline, or I'm looking at what AEW are doing, or I'm looking at this, and they're
Nobody
intrigued and they're
said that
back in
last
again.
part. Don't lie. Don't lie. Tony Khan had just as much to do with killing people's appetite for wrestling because they thought the alternative sucks as well. We
Well,
may as well go.
we picked out a few. There's a few good bits on the list. Okay, we didn't
There
we didn't
is.
we
There
didn't
is.
we didn't lodge too long on the low lights. Although some of them could be in low lights or highlights, depending on
Depending on who you ask.
depending on your glass half full or half empty.
Yes.
I didn't do them in any particular order, so this isn't January to December. This is just stuff that I thought about and a list that I compiled that we can chat about. And of course, no better place than start with the Nature Boy Ric Flair having his last match down in Nashville, Tennessee. Um, I should say possibly his last match.
Potentially.
Yeah. Didn't quite live up to the billing, really, did it?
It did for me. It did for me.
Did it?
There was still better work in that match than I've seen anywhere, in Japan or anywhere else.
Good
Um,
call.
and the key word is the W word, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Work,
Yeah, I
work.
think it was I think we
The
would give him a pass on it based on age and health and everything that
and
he's
Jeff
been through and
Jarrett
stuff
was
like that.
phenomenal in it, by the
Yeah,
way.
Jeff was phenomenal, all right. And of course
He
we
was
got
he was he was the beekeeper, so to
yeah.
speak.
And you wouldn't have a Ric Flair last match without like gallons of claret.
That was legit though. Come on.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that was the Nature Boy. That was his last match, apparently. Maybe he meant his last match in 2022. Who knows what 2023
I'd say
has
that's all
in
that meant.
store? Yeah, absolutely. We also had a huge return, the prodigal son return, Cody Rhodes to WWE.
Yeah,
Um,
who? Yeah, I mean, not a lot of people saw that coming initially.
mm,
The people in the know will tell you that they did. I know we didn't initially see it, but I guess the writing was on the wall when he was kind of looking at the backstage where he was and went, you know what, there's better things for me out there.
mm,
Um, I gotta get back home, baby, and get me some titles in the big league.
yeah.
So
It was
yeah,
kind
it
of
was
the worst kept secret in the business, wasn't it? Really,
was once it
it
came
could have
out,
been
yeah.
huge, but it was brilliant to hear that he was coming back, and it was kind of was out of left field, especially with if you look back at his career in AEW and his approach to degrading WWE on many occasions and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So certainly, he wouldn't have been one that would come to your mind straight away to go back there. But then when we heard of kind of the change of direction in AEW, which didn't sit well with him.
No.
And he knew it was time to get out of town there. That wasn't the place for him to go back and cement his legacy. And of course, with his dad passing and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it was
And what's
brilliant.
interesting as well is that he had what was voted the best match in WWE of the year with him and Seth Rollins, which was interesting.
Absolutely.
But also very interesting that the throne breaker and all that kind of stuff is now the one getting pushed by the man that he supposedly dissed and that people thought he had heat with. Because if word on the street is that 2023 is going to be a very big year for Cody,
Yeah.
as in very big year. Rumor has it. Word on the street is, now don't hold us accountable for this. It's just word on the street that we could see the return of one winged eagle belt, with a white strap, possibly. Just thinking of Cody there, and that Roman might be going into Mania with only one belt, and they might be starting to branch off again with the two
Interesting.
different belts, which I for one 100% condone.
Well, definitely the return of a winged eagle.
Yeah, that's word on the street.
Yeah,
A winged
absolutely.
eagle of sorts. So,
Yeah. So the throne breaker is going to be pushed by the throne creator.
oh, yes, yes, we're off to a
Absolutely.
great start
We're off
already.
to a great start already. Absolutely. But yeah, it was a great return, and like the way he came back and all, and the emotion, and even when you went back and you looked at the background stuff and how emotional it was for him returning to WWE as well, and
Yeah,
how he said it was a very different place from when he left and stuff like that. And absolutely, and like he went out and he did what he had to do on the indie scene. Sometimes you have to go on a journey to find yourself, to realize what you had to go back to and stuff like that
look
and
at
all. And
Drew.
yeah, yeah, Drew's kind
Case
of
in point.
nearly the
Yeah.
epitome of it, really, isn't it? WrestleMania 38, 2 nights knocked it out of the park, but we had the unbelievable return. A number of things come out of this, of course. The return of the rattlesnake, which was
Oh,
fantastic with Kevin Owens and Vince McMahon and Austin Theory, and all that was
that was a
brilliant. It
very
was just,
special night for both of us. One, more
mm,
so for you because you were actually there,
yeah,
and you got to see the rattlesnake at WrestleMania, which
mm,
is, that's a bucket list one because you'd never seen him at WrestleMania before, right?
no, no, I don't
No.
think I did. No,
So
22 was my first one, yeah, so no.
yeah, so you didn't see him there,
Mm,
and for me, I was watching it live from a hotel room at
mm,
Stamford Bridge, as you recall,
that's right, yeah.
um, with a lovely bottle of Jim Beam at about 2 or 3 in the morning, while the lovely Queen was asleep beside me. I was very quiet, but I was like marking out like something else. So I got to watch both nights of that from the hallowed grounds of my beloved Chelsea Football Club, which is pretty cool in its
Yeah.
own right, very
Mm.
different. But yeah, what a WrestleMania, and I think that was really the one for me that usurped everything was the rattlesnake and Kevin Owens. It was just something great and nostalgic
Yeah,
about it, and
yeah.
and
And
uh,
then
rumor has it
Austin, oh,
2023 might be another big year
yeah,
for the
and then
rattlesnake.
Austin Theory, and then Vince strips off and gets in the ring, and you've Pat McAfee, and there's stunners everywhere, there's beers everywhere, and it was just crazy. But it was also brilliant, and it was
That Pat McAfee stunner cell, by the way, is one of my favorite moments of
yeah,
2023.
absolutely, yeah. And the way
Spitting out the beer,
the stuff he's able to do was sensational as well.
fantastic.
It was really a breakout year for guys who had kind of just come into the business somewhat, really,
Mm,
wasn't it? Because we have to. I mean, we're going to talk. Obviously, we may as well talk straight up. Then we'll throw Logan Paul in there straight away, who gave a great account of himself and has done so since. Was excellent at Crown Jewel against Roman Reigns. Has taken to sports entertainment, should I say, as like a duck to water. Basically, he's been unbelievable. Unfortunately, got injured, um, but he's been a revelation, really, hasn't he?
there's no SE words on this here show. No, you know that he's taken to pro wrestling like a duck to water. He's got the sports entertainment and the entertainment down, but his in ring work, because sports
Yeah,
entertainment comes from outside of it and
Yeah,
the
but I
facials.
wonder where the line is drawn. If you're gonna go to the top turnbuckle and you're gonna bring your phone with you and you're gonna video you doing that move, there's a
Well,
high
there's two
level of
elements of it. Yeah, there's two elements.
absolutely.
One, it is entertainment, but B, you want to be safe as houses, both to you and your opponent doing it. And it
Absolutely.
seems that he certainly was safe to his opponent, but not himself, possibly.
Mm.
So maybe I'd leave the phone at home next time, but or even at the side of the ring. Just just a little
Give it
word
to
to
the
the
brother.
boys.
Give it to the brother. Let the brother do the
Yeah,
phone work.
yeah, let him do that outside. Yeah, that'd be much handier.
Yeah, so we had we'll change it up a little bit here, of course. We could talk about Sami Zayn and the Jackass crew and all the kind of stuff that went on, but it was a great 2 nights really. Couple of the matches, of course, in it that we thought were really going to knock it out of the park were the ones that kind of disappointed us a little bit. But other than
Mhm.
that, it was a sensational weekend for wrestling and stuff like that. Let's diverse a little bit here now. Sasha Banks and Naomi walk out on Raw, two very disgruntled employees. Um, and as we know, Sasha Banks in the early hours of this morning, Wrestle Kingdom 17, rocked up for the stardom section of it, I think it is. And looked absolutely amazing. I don't know if you've seen her hair and all,
I
and what
did.
she
I
did
did.
was sensational. Looked the business. Am I right in saying I think Bailey was at it? There was
Yeah,
pictures of
Bailey
her and Bailey
and
backstage.
FTR.
FTR, which was really, really cool because I seen on Twitter today they put up a picture of the four of them together from a couple of years back, and then they
Hmm.
put up the picture today, and I thought that was really cool as a throwback. Not sure the Bailey angle at being there. I know they're obviously very good friends and best of friends and stuff like that, but I'm not sure from a WWE point of view what way that angle goes and stuff
I'd
like that.
say she was given the go ahead. To
Yeah,
be
of
fair,
course, absolutely. Yeah, she wouldn't. She's only back from a layoff and stuff like that. She's not gonna go out there. But it depends on how the feeling is about Sasha Banks, of course, with all the stuff and also. But yeah, that was an interesting one. Naomi, not a lot we've heard from Naomi about what's happening there and stuff like that. It's been very quiet in comparison to Sasha Banks.
no
Um,
loss in my opinion, as you know.
yeah, you're not a Naomi fan.
No,
Um,
no.
so let's change it up. Let's go into AEW here. CM Punk, the press conference that was heard around the world, that ultimately ended up in the locker room brawl, which ultimately ended up with a number of people getting suspended, and ended up CM Punk obviously injured, but out, and we're not sure whether the community is being worked. We're not sure whether it's all very real, and we don't know what the plan is in the future. Will Punk head off to WWE to kind of cement his legacy like Cody Rhodes, or will he go back into AEW and use this as a storyline to go say, dare we say, Regency Society versus the Elite or something like that?
Mm,
But who knows? But yeah, that was one we were very intrigued about, wasn't it? And something we didn't really see coming at all.
no, 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 no. And I suppose you could probably see because it was such a year, such a great year for Punk. I mean, with the feuds with MJF and Darby Allen and etc. were fantastic, and it was great work
Yeah,
to really kind of start building a bit of a profile and a bit of credibility within the company. But then, you know, the dreaded prediction that we all had for the future of the company with the vice presidents, shall we say, the executive vice presidents, kind of told its own story, didn't it? And it's starting to tell more and more stories. Shout out to Dave Meltzer for having one of the worst years of his life. Couldn't be happier for you, brother. Absolutely delighted for you. Credibility lost, if ever there was any. But anyway, um, I've seen him literally doing emojis with like the old splashy emojis for Kenny Olivier and Will Ospreay there from last night. I'll watch the match and I won't hold it against the boys, but good Lord, Meltzer, what a fucking clown. Hopefully 2023 is bad to you on a
how did you
professional,
rate the match?
by the way, on a professional level. On a professional level, hope 2023 is bad to Dave Meltzer.
How was the match? Because I haven't watched it yet.
I haven't
How was
watched
the
it yet. I'll watch
okay?
it when I'm ready.
Yeah.
I couldn't really be arsed. Like, I mean, I'll watch Fast and the Furious 6 and then I'll compare it to that. And then I'll see which is better. I don't know.
Oh my god. Yeah.
2023 is off to a bang, baby, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I suppose we have to bring up the very public scandal, of course. Vince McMahon retired from WWE. There is soundboards out there that the man may be back in the very near
Shout out to
future.
Meltzer on that one as well. Just want to say because he's delighted.
He may not get what he wanted.
No, I don't
um,
think so.
one of the things that probably we didn't think would work and we found was very strange, but has kept us on the edge of our seats and has been fantastic week in, week out. Sami Zayn joining the bloodline. Who would have thought it? If me or you were backstage and creative and Vince Russo and someone said, we're going to put Sami Zayn in the bloodline as an honorary use, I don't think too many people would have went, but it worked a treat. It's fantastic and still fantastic.
I guess that's the genius of Triple H and his little team around him. But it's also the genius of Sami Zayn being able to take an opportunity like that and run with it. It's almost become a weekly, well, for a period, it's become a weekly
Yeah. Show
kind of
within a
who's going to
show.
crack,
It's a show
who's going
within
to
a
crack
show.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, can I make these boys break kayfabe? And 9 out of 10 times he does. It's been one of the most entertaining things of the year. It's very Kurt Angle, Stone Cold vying for Vince McMahon's attention esque, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know what I mean?
It's the way he just tries to like work the lads as well as the audience is sensational. And the lads
Genius.
each week they get closer and closer to cracking up on camera and stuff like that. It's really, really good.
Especially the two boys, especially the two Uso brothers. Like they,
Yeah. Yeah, and the way they swerved it in at Survivor Series was fantastic. That
ah,
match, the War Games one, was absolutely brilliant. The way they booked it and stuff like that was really, really cool.
brilliant, brilliant.
And we know that himself and Kevin Owens are such great mates and stuff like that. They have been for
Yeah.
years and stuff like that. So it was brilliant. Two that kind of tie in together that I wanted to bring up. One was Undertaker, of course, taking his place in the Hall of Fame, and rightly so. Was an unbelievable speech. I was there and I was at it. But it kind of tied in with me as well. His emotion there for kind of Kane and Shawn Michaels and Triple H and the matches that they had, and of course all the other matches that he had as well, was phenomenal.
Don't
Um,
forget, don't forget Brett on this podcast. He
oh
mentioned
yeah,
him as well.
absolutely. But also to talk about Triple H's health scare, and what he went through and stuff like that, and to come back from that as well, and kind of trying to ease into the work again somewhat with a reduced load, and then obviously getting thrust into that position with Vince moving on to take on the whole workload where he was and stuff like that, and to see Triple H's emotion at the Hall of Fame when Taker was talking about Triple H and how Triple H took him one side and said, "Don't forget who you are," and all this kind of thing, and how Undertaker had lost his confidence and Triple H had to get it back from him and stuff like that and all. And we've heard this a number of times with wrestlers. We've heard it with Ric Flair as well, where Triple H has had to bring these guys back and stuff like that. And the sensational matches that they had and that Shawn had and stuff like that with him and all, and the emotion. But it kind of tied into my emotion then at WrestleMania when Triple H came down and left the boots in the ring. Was a very emotional time for me. I'm a huge Triple H fan and stuff like that. So it was a tough one to see. So that weekend was kind of a tough one as well. Triple H retiring, obviously. I'm glad that he did. And I
That
don't
was
know.
actually that was actually an emotional one for me as well because I know through the history of the four pod men, I've done a bit of winding up and
Yeah.
I do it even now with the likes of Dave Meltzer and all. And
Mm,
the people know sometimes I'm not a worker anymore, so you have to let me go on these rants sometimes just to pretend that I'm working.
yeah.
Sometimes I'm genuinely giving opinions that I'm pissed off about, blah blah blah. But
Mm,
you know, even the little joke there about Meltzer and all that,
mm,
like it's fun. It's little jabs and fun. You know what I mean? I don't
yeah.
wish any ill will on anybody.
Mm,
But Triple H, that one was very very emotional too because it kind of got me too, especially when you see the work he's done in recent times. Forget about the politics and all back in the day and blah blah blah. Bygones have to be let be bygones at a certain point in life. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Um, and I think when you see what he's done for the business recently, I mean throughout his whole career, but
Mm,
the selflessness at the moment of what he's done, the building blocks that he's done with NXT, and how people are making comments like that they like working in the company, quote
Yeah.
unquote.
It's a joy
Um,
to be backstage again. Everyone's
you know what I
laughing and
mean?
smiling and joking, and there's an
It's
intensity there in terms of the performance that he expects, but he gives you the responsibility of delivering that performance.
Doesn't it say a
Um,
lot about the man himself, though, in
yeah,
terms of how far he's come from a learning curve, in terms of maybe what he was or wasn't guilty of back in the day, that he's been able to kind of learn from that and grow as a person, as a performer, but now as, I suppose, a director of talent, if you wish, as a coach, as a
yeah, and
head coach.
it's a strange one for him as well, isn't it? Because most successful businesses tend to be built on trust. And if you
Yeah,
can trust
exactly.
your employees, if you can apportion responsibility, because especially a company as big as WWE that has to be run by so many people, so many staff,
Yeah,
you have to have that trust of that responsibility to say, yeah, I can put Sean down in NXT. He'll do that job there for me, and I trust him. You know, if Road Dogg's doing another job, or whoever it is doing whatever jobs it is, that he trusts those.
yeah,
And it's an interesting one because you would have thought Triple H in terms of his personality as well. Now maybe he had through his health scare and stuff like that, he had an awakening and stuff. But you would have thought of Triple H as being quite an insular, paranoid type of guy in terms of giving up responsibility and trust and stuff like that. That he'd want to have a little bit of control because that's kind of how he's portrayed himself over the years in his career. So to have that dynamic there now as a businessman is phenomenal because it shows as well that he's educating himself all the time, all along
yeah,
as well, which is fantastic to see, you know. And it's just
yeah,
so happy that we didn't lose him, you know,
yeah,
because some of the talk that's coming out about that now was very, very serious, that health
yeah,
scare and stuff like that. So glad that we still have him and that he's doing what he's doing. And yeah, it was very emotional to see him retire. And you know, you think about the stuff we grew up on in wrestling, you know, he's after retiring now. Of course, we lost Lemmy from Motorhead, who was instrumental in his music and all that other good stuff and all, you
hmm
know. So it really was a changing of a time in wrestling and stuff like that, you know. But I thought those two things tied in because I could see you could see Triple H when the Undertaker was talking about him in the Hall of Fame, stuff like that, and the camera went to him. You could see that he had been through a few health issues. He didn't look the best. You know
no,
what I mean? He didn't look the best at all, but he got very emotional when Undertaker was talking, you know, because these are key moments. And obviously, he knew the next night he was going to be hanging up the boots in the ring for himself as well, you know. And we look forward to his Hall of Fame, which I'd say will be
oh,
spectacular. Can't wait
yeah,
for it. And I hope I'm there. I hope it's not this year. I hope it's next year when I'm going or whenever I'm going to be there. I don't want to miss his Hall of Fame. Or this year, I should say. A lot of talk went around this year about the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, and was he going to return? Had he been convinced to be returned in terms of creativity and all that kind of stuff? But we got the return of Bray Wyatt, and it was kind of a sensational return. Um, but we're still waiting, aren't we? We're still waiting for that leap, if you like.
yeah, yeah. I think we'll be waiting. It's it's just it's too much tomfoolery, isn't it? Like
Yeah,
I don't know. I
it's
just
kind of
don't know.
it's kind of people craved his return, and then when they got his return, it was kind of okay, and then it's like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? And it's kind of stumbled along, kind of a little bits here and there and stuff like that, but it hasn't really popped yet and hit that moment. The return obviously was brilliant, but yeah, we're still kind of waiting on that one.
Mm.
Um, yeah,
Sorry, I
gosh,
can't give you much more, but
no, I wasn't expecting anything out of you for that one, but we have to put it out there. It was one of the big returns. Of course, Shane O'Mac got released by WWE because of
yeah.
getting too involved in the booking of the Royal Rumble. Um, I'm not sure whether that's the truth or whether that was the excuse that was used. But certainly he was released and went
Well, one thing
on.
that we've learned, I suppose, if reports are to be true, that the family aren't as close as as was once portrayed either. So
Mm.
it's one of the, and again, that's rumor and innuendo. We cannot confirm nor deny. How could we? But I mean, to let your own son go because he had too much to say in the booking of a Royal Rumble seems a bit odd to me. Seems a bit more. to
Yeah,
it.
yeah, absolutely. That's what I would have thought. But we shall see. More will come out. There's no doubt about it. New Japan Pro Wrestling celebrated 50 years in
Mm,
existence with an anniversary show. Some length of time to be in existence and stuff like that. Fantastic
yeah.
promotion and stuff like that. Have delivered so many fantastic shows, and of course, the month that's in it, it's Wrestle Kingdom month and stuff like that, and all. So just think about some of those fantastic Wrestle Kingdoms. We look
Hmm.
no further than Finn Balor and stuff like that, Fergal Devitt, the Prince himself, and some of the moments he's had at Wrestle Kingdoms and all that kind of thing were absolutely sensational. So,
Yeah.
congrats to New Japan Pro Wrestling on celebrating 50 years. We also had Tony Khan come out and announced the purchase of Ring of Honor. We know that Ring of Honor was on the brink of disappearing off the pro wrestling landscape, as we call it. But kind of last minute, AEW came in, bought up the library, bought up Ring of Honor, and since then has been doing some cross promotional shows and stuff like that. And I'd say it was a big moment in terms of the likes of Brian Danielson going to AEW and Cesaro and various guys like that, and also Samoa Joe. So it's pretty cool that those guys are there and that they do have that Ring of Honor sort of legacy there as well, which is pretty cool. Show that
CM
would have
Punk, who kept the place going
CM
for
Punk, yeah,
the longest time as the head
yeah.
trainer, I believe, wasn't he?
Yeah, he did some training as well, but also
Mm,
his leaving of Ring of Honor was some of the best work that was produced and stuff like that in terms of booking and
yeah.
stuff like that. It was really cool the way it was done. Mr. Pancakes himself, the power of positivity, Big E. We wish him luck. Broke his neck, with that kind of botched overhead belly to belly suplex. Very unfortunate. He was doing well at the time and stuff like that. And of course, he's such a huge part of the New Day and stuff like that in terms of the flamboyance of it and everything else, and the power of the team and stuff like that.
Mm,
Um, so we wish him well with the neck recovery and all that kind of stuff. We hope to see him back in 2023. Certainly, his loss has kind of left a kind of a void there in terms of Kofi and in terms of Xavier and stuff like that. So he was obviously that gel that brought that team together and stuff like that. Since then, they've kind of been operating, but not as much in our mindset as if it was the New Day and the three of them. So we
yeah.
wish him well in his recovery and stuff like that. The Usos unified the Raw and the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, and rightly so. The Bloodline hoovering up all the belts,
Yeah.
as only factions do, and these guys. But I have to say, the Usos sensational as a tag team and stuff like that, and some of the matches they put on are fantastic. And then we had Roman, of course, Roman unifying the WWE and the Universal Championship as well. Um, and we had Vince McMahon wrestling his last match, which was it was a year for last matches, wasn't it?
It really was something when you think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that you were kind of happy with in the middle of the year, the Own Heart Cup, that
Mm,
AEW put on in conjunction with Marta, of course, and Brett was there and all, and but Adam Cole and Britt Baker came out as the champions, the inaugural champions, if you like.
mm.
But it was nice as well. It was nice to see Owen Hart's name back out there again, and some guys. I mean, I would have said WWE would be the place to really push that profile, but I can understand why they would go to AEW. But it was nice to see Owen Hart. It was nice to see Owen Hart merchandise again. It was nice to be able to get an Owen Hart T-shirt again. That King one
The
and all that.
figures are pretty cool. The ones that they've done, the line that they've done from his
Yeah,
days in Stampede in Japan, they're actually
yeah.
pretty nice figures.
Yeah, I think the one of the ones that they did, I think actually looks like an old Piper figure. Don't know if
It
you've seen
does,
the one with the
yeah. I know
hair.
the one that,
What's
yeah,
what's what's
yeah,
that one?
yeah,
Is that the one from They Live? Is it the Piper one?
yeah,
Is it? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It
They look
is
very alike, actually.
like a
Yeah, so,
mix of Piper and Paddy the Baddy. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Of course, we mentioned her earlier with Sasha Bailey returned after injury. So it was
yeah.
fantastic to see her back, and she's awesome. We had the evolution of NXT UK happening, where
Mm,
they stalled on NXT UK and they were gonna sort of mix it around into NXT in the US stuff and they're looking at doing a broader NXT Europe kind of thing to encompass more
mm-hmm.
countries and stuff like that. So we'll see how that goes in 2023. WWE's first UK stadium in 30 years. Clash at the Castle. Myself and Dazzler were at it. Fantastic show. Absolutely brilliant. No less. We had Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns. but we also had a sensational match in Sheamus versus Gunther and many other matches as well. But sensational crowd, and I think only when you go to the UK to a live show, you see how educated the UK crowd are in pro wrestling compared to maybe if you attend a show here. It's a lot of boo, yay. Over there, it's very educated. The timing is perfect. You don't get any stupid chants. You know when the audience should come in and shouldn't and how they should react. So hats off to the UK fans over
They've
there in
been
pro
brought up
wrestling
on
stuff.
it, yeah. They've been brought up on it.
Absolutely. So it was sensational. We had Paige returned, Saraya returned to AEW, and also got clearance from the neck injury and stuff like that to go back wrestling again. I was kind of in two minds about this. I'm not sure about whether that's the right way to go or not. But good to see her back on our screens again as well. We love Paige, of course, and of course
Exactly, yeah.
you've got connections there with the family and all and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, then we had in November Survivor Series War Games, which was absolutely sensational as well. Our friend Dazzler of the show, he was over there at it in the TD Garden while we all sat
Austin,
here
yeah.
jealous in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really, really cool, and he was blown away by it. It was his first pay-per-view outside of these shores and stuff like that, apart from Clash of the Castle. So he had a great time, and he really got some fantastic matches and stuff like that. And that War Games thing, of course, we just loved that as a concept for
Yeah.
a match and stuff like that. And then we kind of ended out the year with the big story, which was Mandy Rose, who was having a real breakout year. She was NXT champion, and she ended up having to drop the belt and then got released. And it was in relation to the OnlyFans page and stuff like that, where videos and pictures leaked, and they asked her to move off, and she wouldn't move off, and they released her. And since then, as far as I've read, she's been coining it in, and I'm not surprised. So good luck to her with whatever way she wants to go with that.
Yeah. Obviously, wasn't that much of a pro wrestling fan after all. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah,
I know. I
maybe.
mean, like, what do you want? Do you want to be a porn star or do you want to be a pro wrestler? What way do you want to make your money?
The talk is that she's talking to AEW and a couple of other places, so she still maybe wants to wrestle and stuff like that.
Get rid. Don't even touch it. Don't touch it with a fucking hot knife. I'm sorry, I'm a traditionalist in that sense. You're either a porn star or you're not. It's the same that goes for that clown. What's his name? Riddle. Get rid of him. Get rid. It's like I'm still of the opinion that these guys and girls have to be role models. They have to be. They just. It's essential.
A wise man once told me about Riddle, and we had a heated debate, no less at Clash at the Castle, that Matt Riddle one day would be a future world heavyweight champion. And I said, So
yeah, that wise man isn't that wise. Not when it comes to this sort of thing. Sorry, Dazzler, but no way. This lad is on the verge of self-destructing. And listen, I don't wish ill will on the man. Neither of us do.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
This guy just cannot take. It doesn't look like he can take critique. It doesn't look like he can take actual sound advice from veterans as to how to try and lead a better life. He's getting accused of this, that, everything and the other. And I'm not always one, I'm innocent until proven guilty. Always am. And I mean, some of the women that are coming out accusing him things, it does sound like bitter shit because he's riding this porn star to that porn star. But it just get rid. Like if I had a son, I would not want Matt Riddle on his shelf. I'm sorry. I am a traditionalist in that sense. You got to be a role model in some way, shape.
I have that Funko Pop healthy in the shop.
Yeah, as soon as I see a picture of your dick, your pussy, or your tits, it's like, unless. And I understand that, the whole Playboy generation of WWE back in the Attitude Era. But listen, these weren't role models either. These, let's be
You're sounding
honest.
very old fashioned now, aren't you?
Yeah, let's be honest. Let's be honest. They were literally pages for lads for the wank bank, and that is it. And that is it. And if anyone brought those magazines into your shop, you would not even think twice about fucking sending it back because the pages are stuck together. Forget about it. It's a no-go. It's a no-go.
They were never the type of magazines you'd buy secondhand.
No.
Let's talk about a few people that we lost this year. Of course, there was many more, but there's a few that I wanted to highlight. Of course, recently we lost the voice. You would know Dom West, the voice of TNA. And of course, I think he was in WCW as well, wasn't
He
he?
was for the final for the last chapter, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, but he fantastic. His commentary in TNA was absolutely fantastic. And it was sad to hear that he had lost I think a short battle with cancer or something like that. So sad to see that he only died recently. So thoughts and
Yeah.
prayers go out
Rest
to
in peace. Yeah.
his family and stuff like that. Now, of course, we lost Razor Ramon Scott Hall.
Well,
Um,
there's an episode. There's an episode done by the two of us that we don't look too sprightly on that one, do we?
no,
At the end,
um,
yeah,
but
that
yeah,
was a difficult one. That was a difficult one.
yeah, it was a very difficult one, and it was one kind of like we know that he had fallen. There was issues there again and stuff like that. That he wasn't as entrenched in the DDP yoga as he had been and stuff like that and all. And it was sad to hear it. And again,
I think
again,
didn't your boy, well, our boy Kevin Nash, he was very open and honest about it, wasn't it? That
yeah,
he basically been back drinking straight vodka and had
yeah, back
taken
at
one too many, and it just
back at the
finally
wrong
got him.
lifestyle, back at the wrong
Finally
style. And
got
of
him,
course, what a
unfortunately.
tough year it was for Kevin Nash. Of course, not only losing Scott Hall and being
Yeah,
devastated, and he told the story about going to Scott Hall. Remember, going to the hospital or something like that and all and stuff like that, and
mm,
how tough it was. And he had met up, I think, did he met up with Hunter and X Pac and all, of course,
yeah,
the crew and stuff like that and all, and that must have been tough. And then of course he lost his son, which was very sad as well.
really
Um,
sad.
Speaking of Japanese wrestling, we lost Antonio Inoki, the
Royalty,
the godfather of pro wrestling in Japan. When we talk about New
royalty.
Japan and 50 years and all that kind of stuff and all, Antonio Inoki, we lost him this year as well. One half of the Hebner brothers, the referee is Dave Hebner. We lost this last year as well, which was
Got to
fairly
meet
sad.
him early on
Mm,
in got to meet him. Jesus, when I was breaking into the business, actually, it was
mm,
about a show up in the Odyssey, I believe, the Odyssey Arena,
okay.
and me and one of the lads had kind of judged too quickly, and we thought it was Earl, and the two of us were standing looking at him like that. Then realized it was Dave, so ran it for a quick,
Yeah.
sorry about that.
Yeah, Dave was always the more serious brother, wasn't he, when it come to the
Yeah,
business, where Earl is kind of like Earl was always kind of caught up in all sorts of shenanigans and stuff like that.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We lost Jean LaBelle as well this year,
Ah,
which was a
rest in
sad one
peace.
to
Yeah,
lose as well. And
Judo Dean. Yeah,
we also lost, of course, when we talk about referees and we talk about all that, Tim White, which was a huge loss as well. Very
so
good
believe it or
friend.
not, Tim White only died this year. Did not commit suicide back in that show back in the early 2000s, as people remember when he was in his own bar. A lot of people, that was another one of those that
Yeah.
and the fact that Vince even still ran that after the Brian Pillman debacle, like, it's just baffling to me. But
Yeah.
Tim White, one of the greatest referees of all time, and obviously never recovered from that Hell in a Cell match with Chris Jericho and Triple H when he
Yeah.
took that bump.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, rest in peace, Tim
Sad to
White.
see
He
him
was
go. Yeah, and
fantastic.
he was heavily featured on the Andre documentaries and stuff like that.
Big
He
friends.
was Andre's man, wasn't he? And I think he used to drive for Andre as well, and they were buddies and they were drink buddies and they were very very good friends. And I seen if you look at that documentary, actually when they talked to him about Andre's passing, he was one of the guys in the documentary who got very very emotional.
Very
Um,
emotional. Yeah.
and we also lost Sarah Lee. If you remember Sarah Lee from Tough Enough and stuff like that, she was one of the competitors and stuff like that. Lost at a very, very young age. Had turned her life around and was going through huge fitness regimes and stuff like that and all, and suddenly passed away. So, uh, rest in peace, Sarah Lee, and everyone else. And I'm sure there's other ones we haven't mentioned and we have missed. And if we have, feel free to drop them in the comments because it's your
Mm,
show as much as ours.
yeah.
We only just bring you what we have. But if there's anything that we've missed, drop it in there. We don't pick up everything. Um,
Yeah.
that's everything that I have in terms of 2022. I don't know if you've anything you want to add or if there's anything that I missed. Um, there's so
No, I
many
think
moments.
there was too many moments just to pick a spot, so to speak. You know, and one thing I would like to say going into 2023, the format of this show has changed so dramatically. Back to me interviewing people, and we are going to be interviewing more people The likes of Finley Martin and all want to come back on in 2023.
Brilliant.
Hopefully, we're going to have the likes of Ricky Knight and the Knight family back on again soon, and we are going to try and get guests that myself and Niall will interview. But the format has drastically changed because you have to change with the times. It started with this, and then the four pod men, and then the four pod men got over really well, and people loved that, and it's kind of brought us back to me and Niall. But I just want to say, for anyone that doesn't know this, the amount of work that Niall puts into this show, by looking up things like this and researching, the year in history and all that kind of fun stuff. And you hear me going on my rants, couldn't be done without Niall. And Niall runs his own podcast as well. So I just want to say to Niall, thank you from me and the fans as well.
Yeah, not a problem at all. I enjoy it. I love looking back at the
Yeah,
history and stuff like that. I really, because it jogs my memory, and this is why I put it out there, because a lot of our viewers might be a little bit younger, and it's good for them to understand some of that history as well,
yeah,
because it's the history is the foundation that the business is built on and stuff like that. And I think if you go back and you look at some of that history and you think about it a lot more,
yeah,
you'll understand where we've been to where we are and stuff like that.
exactly.
And you might have a greater acceptance sometimes of when things go wrong or aren't exactly what happens or what you
100%.
expected and stuff like that. You get a better understanding of the business stuff like that. So I love looking back at it. So we've a few short ones for the week in history this week. There's not a huge amount, as I said, because it's Wrestle Kingdom week. A lot of the history that's up there is all the different Wrestle Kingdom shows and stuff like that. Something we don't need to divulge and go back down into and stuff. I'm sure people know of it all and stuff like that. But we've a couple in here. And we start back at 1980 on a taping of NWA Power Hour, something we spoke about, of course, when Billy Corben brought back NWA Power in Gainesville, Georgia. Gainesville, Georgia, a place where AJ Styles would well know. Arn Anderson beat the Great Muta to win the NWA World Television title. And I thought it was apt that we would bring that match in here because, of course, Muta wrestled his last match there. I think it was last week against Shinsuke Nakamura. So and I believe it was a phenomenal match. I haven't watched it yet, but I believe
Yeah,
it
I've
was
seen the
excellent.
intro. I've seen Shinsuke's intro, and I've seen the finish, unfortunately,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I will watch
Apparently,
that match.
apparently it was phenomenal. So I thought it was a good one to bring in there. That's all the way back in 1980, and this man is wrestling his last match this week, 1980,
Wow.
32 years or whatever it's 42 years.
Yeah.
42 years. Wow, what a
Yeah.
career. 1983, in the main event of New Japan Pro Wrestling weekly show in the Tokyo Dome in Japan, Antonio Inoki, a man who we just mentioned, of course, who we lost, defeated Jesse the Body Ventura, no less. Yeah, what a match that must have been. This was Jesse Ventura, I'm sure, at his peak. Blonde hair, handlebar attach, earrings, glamour, the whole lot,
Biceps,
tie
fucking
dye, everything. I'm sure it must have been amazing.
pythons.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one for you. 2010. This week in 2010. This might be one that might not have sat well with you, or might have sat well with you. I'm not too sure, depending on how it worked out. Hell froze over on Monday Night Raw, if you remember this. Bret the Hitman Hart made his first appearance in WWE ring since the infamous Montreal Screwjob in November 1997. Hart acted as a guest host of Raw, and in the opening segment, he buried the hatchet with Shawn Michaels, apparently in one of the greatest opening segments in Raw history. Something we never thought we would see.
You want to know my thoughts?
Give me your
It's the
thoughts.
greatest opening segment in Raw history. I literally, because I've been given so many teasers of the dwarf coming out and all that kind of stuff. Um, you know, the music, the teasers and all that kind of stuff.
The
And I've
litany of
always,
piss taken.
yeah. So I legit cried, legit cried watching that live. It was mental, mental.
Yeah. How did you feel about the sincerity of it? And not from the
Yeah, I
Canadian,
thought it.
not from the Canadian side now.
No, I thought it was legit. I thought
Did it?
Sean
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
But look, I mean, is there as sincere as you could get from
Yeah, Sean.
non-Canadians?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Brett being, of course, very serious, would be sincere. But Sean, you're not too sure whether he was
I
going to
think
swim,
I
spin
think
around,
what
super kick him
I
or
think
something
what
like that, you know?
coincided, I think what really sealed the deal for me on the sincerity was when Jim Ross done that great DVD
To
with
sit
the two
down
of
with
them
the two of them, yeah,
to
brilliant,
sit
yeah.
down, and you could see when Brett was talking about the stroke and stuff like that, that you could see Sean kind of starting to tear up
Yeah.
and realizing, shit, this man was actually going through some stuff,
Mm.
and I helped possibly cause some of this. Do you know what I mean?
He could
And if
be
he,
known as the man who triggered the pathway that led to a lot of this stuff.
now you can't blame someone on that. I'm very aware of that, but
You're a Bret Hart
him
fan, of
being a
course you can.
Jesus, him being a Jesus man. Well, look,
Yeah.
we all love a bit of Jesus every now and then. Just
Anyway,
saying.
that was a big one. I knew you'd enjoy that one. 2011, New Japan Pro Wrestling officially announced that they had introduced the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. What a beautiful belt it was, that one with the white strap and
Yeah,
stuff like that. And had some unbelievable champions as well. Sensational belt with it. For such a short time, a sensational lineage there of history of champions and stuff. 1995. This is one you remember well. The Macho Man Randy Savage made his WCW in ring debut, defeating Avalanche.
yeah,
Yeah, that was
epic,
1995 this week.
epic.
Epic. This was when we realized that Vince McMahon had made the mistake.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Those Slim Jim commercials on top of that were just
Yeah.
ah, opportunities lost, Vinny.
How dare you call this man a color commentator?
How
How
dare
dare
you
you?
do it?
How dare you? A man of
God,
that
it's like
talent.
writing off Hacksaw. How can you do it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's all I have for this week in wrestling. It's short and sweet. I do have some notable birthdays. Starting out 1977, Bobby Roode, Mr. Glorious himself, celebrates his
Yeah,
birthday this week. Along with the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, 1943. Still looks the same as he did when he was 20.
legend.
Sensational Jimmy Hart. A man who we've done podcasts on, and we also spoke about, I think, in wrestling history 2 weeks ago, I think. New Jack, 1963, would have celebrated his birthday today. RIP New Jack. Jim Ross, The Voice, 1952, celebrates his birthday this week, along with one half of the Young Stallions, Jim Powers, 1958. Tag team that I
Wow.
really like, Jim Powers and Paul Roma, when they were the
Me
Young
too. Yeah,
Stallions back in the day.
yeah,
And they look brilliant as well. Fantastic physiques as well.
yeah.
Jacqueline, 1966. Glad I'm not in a bar with her. Met her in the world back in New York when WWE had that bar there and stuff like that. An
Hmm.
absolute lovely person to meet. But if I was giving away her year now, she'd probably slap me around the bar. So happy
Yeah.
birthday to
Say
Jacqueline.
nothing.
And of course, the man who's killing it in podcasting at the moment, the man who tells it straight up as it is, 1964, Conan celebrates his
Wow.
birthday this week. And again, with some of his health issues he's had, we're glad that he's still around and he's killing it in the podcast scene at the moment.
Yeah.
That's it for our notable birthdays.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
All wrapped up in an hour, 2 minutes to 10.
See that? See that? This is how we do. This is what you call professional. Professional podcasting brought to you by two professionals. Sometimes one of us is, sometimes is not. But I'm not meant to be the professional. I'm meant to be the antagonizer. Listen, you don't become a fan of Deadpool for no reason. You know what I mean? Um, no, absolutely fantastic. Once again, kick off to a new year. Great to have our first show reviewing the old year, and looking back at some memorable moments, and then looking back at some memorable moments in wrestling history, not just WWE history.
Yeah, of course.
So if you did like what you heard today, if there's anything we left out, like Noel said earlier, do be sure to like. Let us know in the comments. Give us some stuff that you'd like to talk about in the future. Dynamos dozen at gmail.com. Always there to respond to you.
No
At
forbidden
Dynamos
door.
dozen.
We've an open door policy.
We
Tell
do.
us what you
We
want us to
do.
talk about.
Absolutely. So make sure you get us on all the socials. Going to be doing a little bit more work this year on the socials myself. Always on Twitter, but there's been a bit of a neglection, to be fair, on Instagram and Facebook. But then again, not many people interact on that. Twitter's kind of where it is at the moment, anyway. So, and like I say, if you want to actually reach out to us, do go through Messenger if you want, or go through the Gmail, which is dynamosdozen@gmail.com. And make sure you do like and subscribe and hit the bell notification so that you never, ever miss out on a future episode. But I think that about wraps it up for 2022. Onwards we go to 2023, and
We're on the
hope
road to the Rumble. We're on the
road
road
to
to
the
the
Rumble.
Rumble. One
It's going to
year
be a
checks
busy,
out, and another year checks in.
absolutely, man. It's going to be a busy few weeks for us now in the build up to the Royal Rumble. So be sure to stay tuned for that. But until next time, for me, your host, Ian O'Donnell Kelly, for the shopkeeper, Niall Hogan, we are over and out.